Hello, everyone. This is Independent Conservative. Thank you all for joining me. So, JD Vance is going to sit down and do an interview with Joe Rogan. Now, you already know that Joe Rogan did an interview, a 3-hour interview in his podcast with Donald Trump. I didn't see that interview. I didn't see any. I saw bits and pieces of it, but from everyone that have actually listened to the 3-hour interview with Donald Trump, they said it was great. They said it was great. Everyone that have seen it said it was great. Maybe perhaps one day I will get a chance to sit down and listen to it, but that's 3 hours. That's a long time. But at any rate, JD Vance is going to have a sit out with Joe Rogan this Wednesday. And so I know that that's going to be a great, great interview. I know that that's going to be really, because you know already that JD Vance is a great speaker anyway. So that's going to turn out to be a great interview, bar none, I'm pretty sure. The problem is that Kamala Harris continuously makes herself look bad. I would think that she would be doing something to try to make herself look good, or at least look like she has some kind of get up and go about herself, but she keeps doing things that seem to be hurting her campaign. And one of those things is she turned down the option to interview with Joe Rogan. He asked, would you interview? She said no. Or basically she said, we'll do it on our conditions, or on my condition, and temper it down to an hour. Let's get right into this article. You guys are going to hear what this person has to say. And let me say something too. I want to bring something out too. The article that I'm going to read is an opinion piece, so it reads as an opinion, okay? So I'm going to give my opinions after I read this article in reference to JD Vance and Joe Rogan, okay? So it does read off as an opinion piece, but there are some good nuggets of information in this particular article. So let's get right into this. JD Vance will sit down for an in-depth interview on the Joe Rogan Experience on Wednesday. This comes after we learn Kamala Harris has chickened out of appearing. Yeah, she would do something like that, right? Last week, former President Trump appeared on Joe Rogan's blockbuster podcast for a 3-hour nothing off limits interview that has already racked up tens of millions of views. Wow. It was a fascinating conversation that allowed Trump to display qualities the corporate media try to hide and distort. I do believe that is true. They do that. They edit stuff out, splice stuff, and then they'll make a commentary on it. First they'll edit it, and then they'll spin a commentary on it to make it sound like he said something he did not say. You try explaining that to people, and it goes in one ear and goes out the other. It's almost like they don't believe that the mainstream media actually does this. It's like you tell them this is what you'll tell them exactly what Trump actually said. You give them evidence that he said this actual thing, and that the media that they're watching edited that portion out, and then a reporter or a journalist, if you want to call him that, spun a narrative on it to make it sound like he was saying something he didn't say, and they'll look at you like a deer caught in a headlight. It'll go one end right out the other. People like that, I don't even bother to spend my time telling them. In fact, I can tell right off the back the way they look at me that they don't want to hear it. So I don't bother. God gave me eyes to be able to see people that don't want to hear the truth. But anyway, let's go on. Because Rogan wasn't playing got you and was only interested in getting an idea of how Trump's mind works on a whole host of issues, Rogan's audience that dwarfs the fake media discovered that Trump is not only willing to discuss every topic thrown at him, but has a knowledge of the issues, a great knowledge of the issues. The podcast was a total win for both Rogan and Trump. Rogan extended the same invitation to sitting Vice President Kamala Harris. He basically says, come to Austin and let's have a chat. So he did extend that to her, according to this article. Okay. Instead of accepting the invitation, Kamala said no, unless Rogan was willing to travel to her and hold the conversation to just 1 hour. Now, what does that make her look like? It makes it look like come on now. But the mainstream media is going to probably spin this they're going to try this best to spin this to make it look like that Joe Rogan was wrong and she's right. And I don't see how people watch the mainstream media. I really don't. But let's go on. Rogan wisely refused, but the invite still stands. For the record, the Harris campaign has not passed on during the podcast. They offered a date for Tuesday, but I would have had to travel to her and they only wanted to do an hour, Rogan explained on X. I strongly feel the best way to do it is in the studio in Austin. My sincere wish is to just have a nice conversation and get to know her as a human being. I really hope we can make it happen. Of course, Team Kamala wants Rogan on her territory. Of course, they want a 1 hour time limit. This allows her to show up late and leave early if things go wrong. This is what the Kamala campaign did to Brett Baer with that disastrous Fox News interview. I saw clips of that. That was horrible. That was absolutely horrible. So to once again, no, I'm sorry. Please forgive me for that. Not that particular Brett Baer interview. Not that one. The one I'm about to read right now. Forgive me for that. Slip of tongue. So to once again prove how they are running circles around Kamala, the Trump campaign announced that Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, will sit down for a no-holds-barred interview with Joe Rogan on Wednesday that will be released later in the week. And it says Vice President nominee U.S. Senator J.D. Vance will travel to Austin, Texas on Wednesday to be interviewed on Joe Rogan's podcast, according to ABC News. Former President Donald Trump went on the Joe Rogan Experience last week, which immediately resulted in hundreds of thousands of new YouTube followers and tens of thousands of new social media followers for Rogan. Wow. This is all upside. This is all upside for Team Trump. Not only will Vance do a great job, of course he will, but it calls more attention to Kamala thickening out and further marginalizing the corporate media. For example, Vance appeared on CNN over the weekend for about 20 minutes with Russian collusion hoaxer Jake Tapper. And I saw some of that clip, I think it might have been on ABL or one of the YouTube content creators. I can't remember. I didn't see the whole thing. I've seen a few minutes of it. It was horrible. What I saw was just absolutely horrible. This guy just kept interrupting JD. It was terrible. The article goes on. The interview was useless. I agree. The parts I saw was useless. Tapper or Tapper or whatever, who was so angry and frustrated, he practically lost control of his bowels. So you know that's opinionated. Kept screaming fascist at a relaxed and calm JD Vance, who calmly sat back and wrist flicked Tapper's historical lies away as though they were gnats. Nothing about policy, nothing about the future of the country. The corporate media have become useless to anyone who cares about issues and vision. Rogan and much of news medias don't do this. Instead of childish got you questions, they ask public figure probing questions. Tapper was only interested in making Vance look bad. Yeah, that's about the end of the article right there. Yeah, whatever calls, I only saw bits and pieces of that interview. And it was horrible what I did see with J.D. Vance and this Tapper guy, whatever. It was horrible. It was absolutely horrible. And what I did see with J.D. Vance, on that note, he did remain calm. I didn't see the rest of the interview, so I don't know what he did during the rest of the interview. But I'm going to assume, knowing what I do know about J.D. Vance and knowing how professional he actually is in presenting himself, I'm pretty sure that throughout the entirety of that interview, he maintained self-control. But the parts that I did see, even though J.D. Vance maintained self-control, I could see he was a little bit frustrated because this tipper guy kept interrupting me. Oh, he made me so sick. I could not bear to even listen to the few minutes that I was able to listen to it on the YouTube content creator that I was watching. It was horrible. It was horrible. I cannot stand these people, man. I swear. If there's anybody I don't like, it's the mainstream media. If I hate anybody, and I hate to use that term, it's the mainstream media. And I don't mean hate in a bad way, in the sense that I want something bad to happen to them. So I'm hoping and praying that my friend, if you're watching this, I don't mean that. These are for entertainment purposes, okay? Okay, I'm revealing too much there, but these, you know the thing, okay? But I don't hate them, and I wish something bad would happen to them. But I hate listening to the lies. I hate what they represent. I hate them twisting. I hate them interrupting and mad and getting all upset. And someone like J.D. Vance, he is a truth teller. He's good at telling the truth. He's good at breaking down factual data and explaining it in a way where everyone can understand it. But this tipper guy just kept interrupting him, and I wanted to tell him to shut the HELL up. But anyway, going back to this whole situation with J.D. Vance going to be interviewed tomorrow, this coming Wednesday, by Joe Rogan, will, in my opinion, make the Trump campaign even stronger. Because J.D. Vance is a great speaker, and based on what I have said, I've heard about the Trump interview with Joe Rogan being a great thing, really, really, really outstanding. A lot of information in the interview, the 3-hour interview, that was very, very, very revealing about policies and so forth, and things a lot of people didn't know from what I was told. If you add JD Vance to this is going to be even more illuminating, if you will, for the Trump campaign. This is going to make him look even better. And it's sad. It's sad to say the least, because I'm saying sad because I'm trying not to be overly critical of Kamala Harris's campaign. But she is doing, what else am I going to say? She is doing horrible in terms of when someone presents something to her, she always seems to run away from it, or she wants it to be on her conditions. Now, somebody will argue, well, Trump wanted it to be on his conditions because Trump never gets a fair shake. That's why. If Trump has to do it in mainstream liberal media, he's going to be like, no, wait a minute, hold on, because they never give him a fair shake. They never give him a fair shake. They're always interrupting him, always supposedly fact-checking him, and the other person never gets fact-checked. It's ridiculous. The truth is the truth. And this situation right here with Joe Rogan interviewing JD Vance is going to make Trump's campaign look even better. Okay. I'm pretty sure JD Vance is going to shine in the professional way that he does. And I'm pretty sure that I won't say I'm pretty sure. Let me correct that. I'm hoping that people are smart enough in this country to see that Kamala Harris's refusal to do a 3-hour interview with Joe Rogan on his terms is more evidence that she can't do an interview. It's more evidence there's nothing up there. There's nothing up there, no knowledge basis for her to be able to give Joe Rogan on the 3. There's nothing there. And she knows she's not going to shine. She's going to be dull. Period. So there you go. She's not going to do well if she does it 3 hours. I said that in the previous video. I said, I don't think she has the knowledge base to do 3 hours. She doesn't have what it takes to do a 3-hour interview. I could do a 3-hour interview. Maybe not on all issues, but I have a decent amount of knowledge. We would have sit and talk about different things. I could talk about it. You want to talk about cars and all that nonsense. I don't like cars. I want to talk about it. You want to talk about other issues, politics, movies, other things, right? And I could talk about those things, And that we all have some kind of basis of knowledge that we're good at. But Kamala Harris, based on what I understand and what I see of her, she doesn't seem to have any knowledge of anything just about. She does these constant word salads. Stop with the word salads. If I want a salad, I'll go to the grocery store and buy a salad. Okay? Stop with these word salads because it doesn't make sense. You can't articulate it in any shape, form, or way, and it makes her look worse and worse and worse every time she opens her mouth. So are you surprised that she would refuse and turn down this interview with Joe Rogan and try to taper it off, right? To an hour and have him travel over to her? No, man, come on. Please. And I hope Joe Rogan stands on his morals here and not change. The invitation is still open, he says, but if you want it, Kamala, all I want to do is have a nice talk with you, get to know you as a person. She can't even do that. But anyway, yeah, that's what it is. It's making her look bad and making the Trump campaign look better and better and better. But we will see come November. We will see where the people's minds are. We will see. But that's what I wanted to share with you guys. What do you guys think? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe to my channel. God bless you all. See you again.